Mic and music check. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, me, your favorite community manager, Mac. Just want to confirm that my mic is working. Mic and music check. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. ABC. Hello, hello. Gentle music. See if we can turn it up just a skosh. That'll make it a bit better. How are you doing, Atlam? How was your weekend? Hope things are treating you well. It's a lovely view I have set up here on the ancient cemetery. This map I've been working on for about a half hour a week for, I don't know, like 8 months. Every Monday we sit down for a couple of hours and I work on it for about an hour and a half, like I said, or a half hour. But during that time, we also answer questions, provide real-time support in AMA format, which means ask me anything. So as long as you have Dungeon Alchemist related questions, you can let me know in chat and I'll do my best to provide you insight or guidance. So if you're new to our community and you have questions about the product, or maybe you already own Dungeon Alchemist and you're wondering how to do something specific, please let me know. Glad to assist. This map is quite extensive, as you can see. It's rather large. It's 85... No, here, let's double check. Down to the bottom. 85 by 82. It started in this corner here and has expanded beyond this area here. I did a few things to make this build kind of tricky or difficult for myself. One is I built off the grid, really, perpendicular to the grid, so it wasn't as simple as normal. I also am doing most everything by hand, including like the roads and placing a lot of items. So many things are taking, it's taking a little bit of time, but at the same time, it's a very extensive and beautiful map. Honestly, yeah, the timber does smell quite good when you're cutting it and like using it, especially when it starts warming up outside for a little bit. Though once it gets like 100+ degrees outside, it is I don't know, I'm just not built for it, I guess. Like, I cannot stay out there and keep working on it for hours and hours. So the entire cemetery is quite expansive and has several sections that I've been kind of adding as I go and kind of filling out the space as needs be. Here we have kind of a private gated fenced off area, which I would kind of liken to like maybe royal graves or something like that. And then over by the cathedral, which we have like a beautiful garden and path all the way around, there's also another set of graves. These would be like your people who served this chapel, whether it's like a priest or priestess or a cleric or a paladin or anything like that. Hey Eric, how you doing? Yesterday's session was lovely. Thanks again, my friend. Hey Garrus, how are you? The thing about me and the heat, Atlam, is I sweat so much. Like it's ridiculous. And people always ask me if I'm okay because like I am just draped in sweat. And it's even worse when it's humid. I don't know what my deal is, but I can work outside for many hours if I have to, as long as I'm drinking a lot of water. I mean, I did roofing and I did steel like in my youth, and those were very hot where I lived, like very like high temperature jobs, and I managed it. But the thing is like I nowadays, especially in Vegas too, it's such a crazy heat, and like if I'm outside all day in it, I'll feel like a mess for a few days, like definitely get like minor like heat stroke or something. Easy to get dehydrated even if you're drinking tons of water. Nice, Eric, nice. So this is the last little section of this area that I got to work on, and then I'll be moving on to a new plot. This plot here was rather fun because the graves, as you can see, they're like all over the place, but then I started finding like a rhythm for where to put them, and it worked out really well. Blah, blah, blah. If anyone wants to hear about last night's session, I can regale you with some tales from what I remember. While we continue building. Hey, some people may not be interested in hearing about my campaign conundrums. By the way, I have some really good news for y'all. I don't know if you noticed, but there was a little patch that went out today. So today's hot fix features a few things that the community has been wanting. We'll talk about the game in just a moment after we discuss this, Atlam. So the hot fix, we have released or freed the stairs. Due to popular request and many complaints about the kind of configuration and setup of the new stairs, there has been some changes. So now when you have a staircase, if you have collisions disabled in the object menu, the stairs can now be freely scaled, rotated, and placed at will. So essentially, they're unlocked when they have collisions disabled, like most objects. Otherwise, they snap into place and only can be rotated on 4 axes. Hey, Polaris, welcome back. There was a bug where every time you loaded Dungeon Alchemist, it essentially would jump to a much higher quality resolution than you had it configured at, and you would have to like open the settings menu and close it to get it to recognize your settings. They figured that out and fixed it. And there was also a bug caused by the driftwood bed that was causing a bunch of maps to crash or not load, and they figured that out too. It had a weird configuration on it, sorted it out. So essentially, 3 major issues that have been kind of discussed in the last month by our community have been sorted for the time being. There will be some other hot fixes relatively soon, but this one was one they wanted to work on right away. So I found that to be very good news. Put some pavers through here. That's good to hear. Hopefully that'll fix things. Uh-oh, it didn't show it in chat. What is it? Which GIF? Uh-oh. I just realized I didn't have TikTok and Steam loaded because last time I checked, they weren't loaded. Okay, I'm gonna make sure the chats are open. Got TikTok open. Sorry about that, y'all. I've got multi-stream up right now, so I'm watching like a bunch of different ones. For some reason, the GIF doesn't share. I think links are disabled from being shared in our stream, so it cannot do that, Brain Bomb. Sorry. Which GIF, though? If you describe it, I'll probably know. Oh, yeah. Yep. When Troy walks in with the pizza and then everybody's doing something random. That one's actually a really funny episode, too. If you guys and gals are community fans, that one's... Katya, that's a good question. Unfortunately, I don't have a date at the moment. Our devs actually only just got back into the office. The majority of our team was taking kind of a well-deserved break after pushing out Fun with Objects 1 and a couple of hot fixes and patches. For a couple of weeks after the launch, they stayed in office and made sure everything was semi good, and then took off for well-deserved vacation. Most of them are rolling back into the office now, so they'll be starting work on Fun with Objects pretty much in the immediate future, and then we'll start getting more details after that. All I can say is right now the hope is before the end of the year, but that is subject to change. So, okay, let's see. Our last session, we are in these kind of like, it's called the Hollow. It's like a system of caves or like crypts is what it, well, mostly caves, where we've run into like a lot of constructs. And then we came into this kind of room where we ran into our first human, and then there was a room to the north, room to the south. And we decided to, after we'd cleared the center room, to go to the room to the south. And we started like fighting I don't know, some sort of cultist or necromancer, and he was trying to summon something or keep it at bay. It was a gray ooze. So we ended up having, it was like an adult gray ooze or something. So we had to kill the guy, kill the ooze. And then when we were investigating the room, I found a secret door, which we essentially kind of wanted to follow that path and see where it went. And we started going through this, like, we tried to figure out a way through the secret door. We couldn't find it. And then I have some Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments, so I drew like a peephole and a door. We were able to look through and go through to the next area. And then we kept finding like other passages and secret passages to go through, which was quite interesting. And then essentially, we found this like room with like a Frankenstein monster chained to a table and all these cells around it with like slatted doors. And we opened one of the slatted doors and there was like a monster inside that like tried to reach out and grab at me. And myself and the paladin was helping me. And we determined that like, you know, he was a hostile. And we essentially decided to fight him, and one of our fighters grappled his arm through the door, and then we just kind of took him out. And then we went inside the cell and we investigated the cell. Hey, Lauren Zader, how you doing? And we found another secret room inside the cell. So we kept following like this path of secret doors, right? One after another, after another, after another, after another. And essentially it led us to this hallway where I used a peephole to peek into the hallway, and we saw there was like some kind of like ghost looking things. Oh, Anani, we're only just a little bit into it. We haven't even gotten into any combat really. So, God, what were they called? I can't remember the name of them. It's actually just a private campaign. Lauren Zader. I'm kind of recapping it to people who follow along through my storytelling. I don't know if it's good storytelling or not, but Alep, that's what it was. Thank you, Eric. Gosh, sorry, it's my first time encountering them in a game, so I couldn't remember the name. Appreciate that, brother. Shave these back just a little bit and squeeze in one more stone. There's two methods here to make these paths fit. You know, spread them out or squeeze them together. And right now, I'd rather have more than not enough. I feel like if I spread them out, it'd be like a huge gap between them. Hey. So one of the Aleps we took out really quick, and then there was another Frankenstein kind of zombie looking monster with a sensor. And we took out the Alep really quick, started fighting the zombie, took him out really quick, and he could like run up the walls and jump off of them and had multi-attack, and he'd become berserk and stuff. I think we took him out in like 2-3 rounds. Then the second Alep had a really good chance to kind of gauge us before it got to us, and it started like passing through walls and like coming through the walls and attacking us, so we'd all have to prepare actions to even get a chance to attack it. So our reactions were constantly used up, and it was doing a lot of damage to the group. And then we started realizing if we move and get away from where we were, it won't necessarily know where we are. And finally we got the upper hand and took it out. Yet again, searching through this room, find 2 more secret doors. One of them has, you know, kind of a general, like, we can open it from our side, and the other one's kind of, we can't. It's like it opens from the other side. We decide where we're at. Let's take a long rest. We take a long rest inside a Liam's tiny hut, and we managed to take a long rest without any issues. And then we get our spell slots back and all that stuff. We're fully healed. We get back into combat. The next room, there's this massive construct. It's a large construct that has like a huge chain weapon with locks on it. And it, you know, is eager to defend its territory and fight us. So we get to it. It grabs one of our teammates through the door and drags him in with a grapple. And then our fairy, who is like kind of a pacifist, likes to do things that don't necessarily damage people or hurt them if they can avoid it. So she reduced his size. So he was now a medium creature, which really leveled the battlefield. And we fought him and took him out in like 2 rounds. Yep, Anani, the stairs are now fixed. Correct. You didn't miss too much. We were just talking about our group's campaign. Well, my group's campaign, and then because we played yesterday, and then we were talking about the hot fix that was released today, which essentially fixed the main complaints with the stairs, which is you can't, you know, resize them or raise them up and down at will, or you know, all that fun stuff. So I'm actually playing in this particular campaign, Lauren Zader. The DM is Game Master Eric, who is on Twitch. He has this kind of his own website and stuff. He's a great guy, great DM. But it's a group of my friends and family that play with him, and he runs the session for us, so we don't have to stress about anything. We just kind of show up and play. Final boss, Tarask, nice. They're 1 to level. Oh, you're going 1 to 20, and they're level 16. That's cool. I hope they go the distance, my friend. Yeah, Eric lets us, I mean, pretty much any race that's like in a like a normal book for the most part. He was chill with it. Honestly, like I think nowadays most like D&D like okay, like worlds tend to have like a good mixture of the races in the game now. Like I do feel it's a little bit like weird that a lot of DMs are kind of stuck in there like, oh no, there can only be humans here. Like in some cities it makes sense to only have certain races, but I do think that like mainland port cities and like there's going to be hub cities where like there's a good amalgamation of like all races, so they pretty much are a normalized thing. That and they're all made playable in most books now. I like it when, you know, a DM's adaptable to that and is like fine with it and isn't going to give the player a hard time. The only thing my DM gives me a hard time about is I play a halfling. And so any chance he gets, he likes to remind me that my character is small. But yeah, that's a okay, but I mean, yeah, I mean that makes sense, but realistically though, that's like the only limitation you have for the most part as far as like races so far that I've seen. So the first, you know, area we were in was like a city for giants, and I was constantly just tore into because of my size. So then we finally are in a city that's just normal sized people, and we start venturing out on a campaign and going out on our next adventure. I'm like drawing a door on the wall with the pigments, which, by the way, you don't physically have to draw. It's magically drawn. You like think it, and then it appears from the pen and goes onto the wall like magical paint. But he'll always be like, so how does he reach that high? And I'll be like, yeah, one of my teammates picks me up so I can finish painting the door. Yep, uppies is what I said yesterday. Though I will insist that the magical pigments can paint magically without me having to do it physically. Magic. I'm gonna say it one more time. Magic. Honestly, yeah, yesterday's session was quite funny. But yeah, when I needed to be painting, I said that. I was like, uppies, had to do that. And then, so quite literally, that was used in the campaign yesterday. And then yeah, where were we? After the long rest, we took out that huge construct that we made medium, fought it, killed it. We found another secret door, and this secret door had carvings on it of intellect devours, and I was like, nope, not going that way. Let's backtrack and see what else we can find. And then we found another door that had a lock on it with the shape of a star key. And then we found another door we could open. So we went through that door, and in that door was like a bunch of slabs set up with like a bunch of like corpses on them, bones. And then there was like several, I don't know, like, I don't know exactly what there were. Eric, what were those two things? Were they like whites? What were they? I'm not sure. Yeah, it was like an adult gray ooze. Okay, yeah, we fought two deathlocks, and then some guy, some like weird caster had silver paint all over his face like a Morton Joe's Warriors. It was quite interesting. Anyway, yeah, it was a gray ooze, but it was like an adult gray ooze. So I can fit one grave here, or maybe some benches. Probably do a benches. Yeah, we've got a good rhythm going. There's still some like speed bumps here and there. But like otherwise, like one thing that we kind of did silly yesterday, and it was kind of my fault. I stepped away for a minute because I had a package delivered, so I went to go grab it off the porch. And when I came back, the group had decided to use our staff of healing for like a massive group heal. And I was going to suggest we take a long rest at that same moment, but they had already kind of decided to do it and used it. So we had used 5 charges on our staff of healing and then took a long rest. So basically, we kind of messed up there. But otherwise, it's like, you know, it's just a silly thing and we'll recover. Oh, I critted that massive construct with a shocking grasp that I casted through my owl familiar omen. And guess what? I thought metal, this is cool. It might hurt him and I'll get an advantage on the attack. He absorbed the lightning and it gave him bonus like temp HP above and beyond his HP. And I was like, no, because it was a crit. So it was like 27 HP extra. And then I used a silvery barbs on myself and then rolled a 1. So I rolled a crit with a back-to-back 1, nat 1. So basically did like no damage to him and then undid the damage. It was quite funny. Oh, that was my mess up of the day. So Svenster, these are just guidelines for me for my fences over the long kind of drawn out space. I got these on the workshop. I didn't buy them, sorry. I downloaded them from the workshop. SAC made these great tools. They're like a measuring guide or like a straight line that you can use over a great distance. Essentially, that's all it's for. So if you notice here, I have a fence line kind of going along this whole thing, and I wanted to make sure it was straight all the way down and didn't deviate. Because I got bad eyes. Every once in a while, though, I gotta delete it and then undelete it. Ungoliant. Terrifying spider. Okay, I don't know why I just said that. Yeah, we took out the blob like in 2 rounds, actually. We wrecked it. We've been working really well as a group, and our team has kind of got a good rhythm. Our frontliners kind of know where to be and how to get there quickly and kind of protect our casters who are squishier. We're constantly supporting each other in ways that are really surprising and exciting. Our fairy caster using creative things constantly, you know, not necessarily always attacking, but giving us nice support spells like Fairy Fire or Enlarge Reduce or, you know, things like that. It's really fun. And then we will do flowers, but I haven't decorated these graves yet. Once I fill out all this graves, then I'll decorate it, put some lamps and some other stuff. For right now, I was just kind of filling the space out with the generics and then going from there. But as you can see in most areas, I do in fact decorate them and add stuff to them. It just takes a while. Kind of have a process. I do things in an order. Order of operations. I mean, we've been busting through this place like pretty efficiently and have, you know, found like a lot of secret areas, which I found surprising. Also a lot of traps. I've spent a significant amount of time like dismantling traps and or like investigating for, you know, potential secrets or, you know, hidden loot. And mainly because I have like the highest investigation score by a wide margin. So the party kind of just defaults it to me. Like, not even joking, I have a +10 pretty much. Well, I have a +9 plus I have guidance. So almost a guaranteed +10 at almost any given point, unless I can't use guidance at that moment. So I think they were deployed by the cultists, and obviously we're finding more and more people as we go in. The room we were in where the cultist was, I feel like he was in the middle of constructing, he was making constructs or attempting to, I don't know. So the room had 4 chests, 1 in each corner, and the chests were filled with sodium bicarbonate. So baking soda. And in the center was a grate, and it had the ooze inside. Like, I couldn't exactly figure out what was going on there, but I thought he was trying to make a construct, and maybe that was the byproduct. Hey, Lauren Zader, see you over there. Nice. Welcome to Twitch. But essentially what I'll do is I kind of build out an area one at a time, right? Until I'm happy with it, and then I go through and detail it. Honestly, like, Eric, I am very curious what that room was for. I was hoping my investigation score would have been enough to like help me discern what happened in there or what they were doing, like deduce it enough. But like I was tripped out by it. The room scared me. My character, like, okay, we found a knife in there. There was like a butter knife with 3 holes in it on the sacrificial altar. I feel like that thing's cursed. Oh gosh. And we called it the poop knife anyway. And then we also, there was 4 chests in the corners of the room. Yeah, I'm just like really concerned with what was going on there. I was not about it. I didn't want to touch anything. I was far away from everything when everybody was opening stuff. Nope. My character is too cautious. That's the other thing. I saw the door with like the emblems on it that were the... Yeah, anyway, it was, you know, those little legged brains. Gosh, what are they called again? Having a brain fart morning. I need some coffee and I haven't had any. Well, I feel like the place we're in is dangerous, kind of dungeon level crawling, and so traps are abound. They're bound to be happening. It's not a complaint. I like traps. I think I and my character enjoys finding and dismantling and learning about traps, and because he's an artificer at heart, and like he's a tinkerer, an engineer. He comes from a family of engineers. So it's something he can't escape, but he's maining wizard at the moment because he has a lot of potential with magic. Hey, Mateus, how you doing, buddy? Welcome back. Well, and the thing is, we're essentially backtracking through this, going through this dungeon sideways in a way that like is full of not the main path. So it's like, I think we're kind of doing it in a weird, like ready, go, set method at the moment, which is funny. You know, we're kind of circumventing certain things, going at enemies, you know, from past they don't expect us and other things. So we kind of have an advantage. We also use some logic, but a couple of our players, you know, are lacking intelligence. Like our fighter rogue, he basically learns by experience, not by anyone saying that's a bad idea. He has to experience it firsthand. He has walked into a moonbeam and into a web just because he thought they looked interesting. What? Kevin is essentially Leroy Jenkins. He really is. But it's because he's just a curious, like, character who really isn't afraid of things. And, you know, but like I told him there was a trap on the door that had a hold person spell on it. I'm like, hold person is bad. Means people can crit you and you can die. I say that as a character. He's like, you know, I'm just going to run through it. Like, we don't know what's on the other side of the door. And honestly, like, I feel like there's a bunch of people waiting to fight us. So it was just hilarious to me. Like, it made me laugh really hard. I love how he plays this character. Hey, Horizontal Wolf, thank you for the follow. And also, Lauren Zader, thank you for the follow a bit ago. Great, now I'm gonna be paranoid about floor traps. You're gonna have me walking around with a 10-foot pole all the time. Tippity tap, looking for Eric's traps. Man, that's how I used to play back in like 2E, 3E. Yeah, that sounds about right, Inani. That sounds like something we would have to hold Kevin back from, be like, dude, we can't save you from this. Can you please just listen to us, please? DM's like, just let him play his character how he wants. Yeah, we know. When I spent 10 minutes discerning and taking apart the traps meticulously, only for him to be like, yeah, I'm just gonna run through this one. Screw it. I love it. I'm bored. This is boring. I appreciate it. Question about the future, doing a PNG export. So PNGs are problematic. Every time we've experimented with it, PNG exports are, first off, PNGs are massive files typically, and when you make a map that's say 100 by 100 and you start making it a PNG, it starts like that's file's going to be hundreds of megabytes, right? Even on a low quality PNG. So essentially, they're trying to figure out what we can do. What's the lowest quality PNG we can get away with? Other things we're considering is WebP, which is kind of the PNG of the future IMO. WebP has been specifically designed around the internet web, format, and it makes image files that are smaller, but also can use similar formatting to PNG, where it can have like a transparent background, so an alpha channel. And then additionally, WebP is supported by like pretty much all major virtual tabletops and is starting to become more common. The problem is it's not like a common codec on computers and phones, so you may not even be able to open it on some devices unless you have like a third-party codec. So it's like a trade-off. We're waiting for it to kind of mature and also doing our research and coming up with options. I do think a transparent background is on the horizon, though. The devs were tinkering with it before they launched Fun with Objects 1 because they were trying to get it to work, where we have like, the roof layer with a transparent background, or any layer above the first layer could have a transparent exterior, right? But unfortunately, they just couldn't get it working right and effectively in a file size that was reasonable. But right now, yeah, you can make your own kind of transparent backgrounds or even animated objects as tiles using chroma key. We have the green screen backdrop as both a object that is in the object menu, so you can grab it from here and go to the abstract menu, use one of these green blocks and kind of drag it across most of the map. And you could have that at your roof layer and then export it with that. The downside is this catches shadows. I don't like it for that reason. There's a whole biome actually that's really ideal, the green screen biome. So once you've made your entire map, file save. If you're looking for a roof export with a transparent background, do a file save as of your map and splinter it off as a new save. And in that new save, you're going to want to change the biome in the terrain and from forest to green screen. Hey, Swamp, what you up to, bud? Gardens? No. Sorry, did I say garden? When did I say garden? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you mean the next dam challenge, right? Gotcha. Well, nice, man. What kind of classes? Good. So how was everyone's weekend? Let's see. I was trying to finish up that session. So we were in that last room, pretty much cleared the room. There was like a cultist and a couple of the, what Eric said they were earlier, deathlocks. And then the deathlocks were going up to the tables and like summoning skeletons from them, bringing them to life. So we had a whole bunch of mobs we had to take out. Once we cleared them out, now the room's clear. We're essentially backtracking and trying to figure out where to go because we need to find a key to get into one of the rooms. And I don't want to solve every problem with Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments. A, I don't want to run out of it really quick. And B, I think it's kind of a cheap workaround to fix all our issues. I'd prefer us try to find the actual key or, you know, solve the problem another way. I also do that for the DM sanity. Like, come on, if I cheesed every like problem with Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments, then it'd be silly. I could technically be rich if I wanted to with the pigments, but I'm not like that. My weekend went swimmingly. Thank you for asking. Ran one of my Starfinder campaigns where they're settling on a new planet, Svenster. Honestly, Starfinder is one of the things that I find most intriguing of all the other like different systems out there. I've always wanted to play a space kind of based tabletop game. And when I started looking into the Starfinder beta and stuff, I was so interested in it. It's pretty neat. I may end up just trying to learn like how to DM Pathfinder just so I could play Starfinder with my family. So y'all want to see the changes to the staircases? They're essentially kind of back to where they were. Yeah, Starfinder 2 is the one I'm most interested in. I have bought the books. I do need to download the updates from their website from Paizo, but I was pretty much like I supported them early on and because I found it interesting. Our team really likes the Paizo community. You know, we've worked closely with them in the past. We even have done like a So I did like a like a panel at one of their online conventions a year or two ago. Quite fun. Good to know. Starfinder, not Scarfinder. Starfinder is Guardians of the Galaxy with magic. I've heard guns are kind of underwhelming. Like all like rifles and laser pistols are kind of underwhelming in Starfinder. Is that true? Gunderwhelming, if you will. I'll be here all week. Got graves, we got graves, we got graves for days. Got so many dead people buried here because, well, this cemetery is quite ancient. Computer. Okay, Swamp is going to be taking software engineering. Wow, dude, that's cool. Computer vision, machine learning, and mobile computing. Nice, dude. That's fantastic. I always love when people try to further themselves through education. Muggery, that's good to know. Thank you for letting me know. Honestly, I love to like hear insight of anyone who has played Starfinder, Starfinder 1, Starfinder 2. This is so close to done. And keep adding the graves. We're gonna keep adding graves. Let's see here. Walkway. Delete that. Good. Wait, I can look under it. I wish you could make an object transparent temporarily so it still have like its boundaries or something. It looked like Wonder Woman's invisible jet from Justice League. Or no, from Super Friends. Not just. The Super Friends! You know, let's ask the panel here, the Damn Fam. Anyone who plays Pathfinder and has played D&D or, you know, the like, could you let me know your thoughts on the differences? From what I understand is you have better, like, more action options and better, like, multi-classing options. Essentially, you can make whatever kind of character you want. And there's things like the martials, you know, skill gap doesn't really exist as much because of things like this. It's a really expansive world as well with lots of cool, like, lore and, like, from what I've heard, it sounds pretty cool. Who knows, Fenster? Oh no. That's a large. For the insight. Man, Swamp, some of those classes sound intense. Hope you're ready for it, brother. Good. I'm going to save this and then we'll jump out to a new map. I want to show you all stairs again. Correct, Rev. Once you have changed their size, they'll no longer dynamically cut a hole. Once the collisions are off, essentially. So it's a trade-off. They're one or the other. So you can just pull a new stair out if you want it to do that without it, you know, having the issues. So prior to this patch, if you wanted to place a stair, it essentially had to be, you know, like this. It either had to be kind of at a fixed height and it could only be rotated on a certain axis. It couldn't be resized. This was kind of a new development in the update, right? When you disable collisions, now it acts like you would expect it from the past update. You can raise and lower stairs up and down. And remember, if you want to delete some floor, you have the remove floor tool. So Rev, I have no idea what you're talking about, man. I barely even experimented with it. Sorry, it launched this morning. So if you'd like to share some pictures or the dam file or something so I have some context, it'd be very, very helpful. Like, I want to help you, man, but it's like, I'm not sure what you mean. So under the object menu, if you go to this panel here, it says collisions, on, off. When you disable collisions, objects can be raised and lowered. They can be resized far beyond or below their normal sizes. And remember, Rev, if we find bugs and issues, we can always make adjustments. This is a fix in order to try and get a blend of both. I personally suggested that we have freestanding stairs and the option to just use the traditional stairs, but I think they went with a more simple method. Cool. So we're gonna put a room, okay? Traditionally, you wanted to have a multi-level. Draw another level on top of the first floor. This is just going to be a simple tower. Or at this point, you can then place a stair. Notice not cutting a hole, right? Because it's not the multi-level stair. More for like a use anywhere. If I disable or put collisions back on, it will dynamically cut the hole. But at this point, if you want it to dynamically cut the hole, you'd probably want your collisions on when you place the stairs. So essentially, one way, the stairs, you have the freedom to adjust them, and you can cut the holes manually using the, remove floor tile tool. So you kind of have the best of both worlds. You can resize the stairs to the size you want. But you get the idea. It's not a perfect solution, but it does give you a lot of freedom over your stairs. Hey, thank you for the follow, Cringe Gaming. Much appreciated. So as long as collisions are on, it'll dynamically cut the hole. Otherwise, you're going to have to cut the hole manually. No, you're fine, bud. You're fine. I'm not like, like I want to help you figure this out. And, if it's a complaint or an issue with the way it's designed, we definitely want to hear your feedback. We only tested it internally with a handful of us, so community insight's great. It is kind of weird that after it's already dynamically cut the hole, if you disable collisions and raise it, it deletes the hole. That would be my only thing, because, hey, if I, turn collisions off and raise it and then turn them back on, is it going to put that hole back? Doesn't seem to be doing that. You know what I mean? So, kind of isn't going both ways. Hey, Mondu, how you doing? See, there was a patch. A lot of you should be noticing a big performance boost today with Dungeon Alchemist. So essentially, when collisions are off, the stairs act more like they did when they were in the upstairs menu. When collisions are on, they are now the multi-level stairs. They also fixed that weird issue where if you went into like settings and closed it, then your frame rate jumped up. Yep, stairs have been freed. The stairs have been freed! We have released the stairs from captivity. If you want to, Anani. I definitely think this change was to, help our creators who like a little bit more freedom with their map making. It's not like there might be some adjustments that need to be made with this change. So if you run into any bugs or problems or complaints, if you have any feedback on it, let us know. Oh. Get back into this, Barry. So if you noticed a big boost in your frames, let me know. I'd love to know. And then if you've had a chance to play with the update and see the stair changes, let me know as well. Hello, Degenerate702. Welcome to the stream. Oh, they left already. I was going to ask them if they're from Vegas because the 702 kind of implies that. Getting pretty good at this. You know, Eduardo, one thing I've tried to like avoid when I'm building now is I'll lay out the floor plan first before I decorate, because yeah, I did notice that some things get deleted. If they fix that, that's good, but there still are some instances where, like, you know, putting buildings up above deletes stuff way below, and they're trying to figure out why it happens. Well, I'm glad you're happy with it, bud. Glad you're happy. How you doing, by the way? Yeah, honestly, these changes were primarily community driven, so just goes to show, you know, like, your feedback is very important to the devs, and you know, they want to act on it as quickly as they can, reasonably. Of course, they just, you know, needed to step out of the office for a few weeks. They were kind of shifting a couple weeks off here, a couple weeks off there, different person, and so we weren't at full, you know, full effectiveness. So what I do, Eduardo, to avoid that is I'll lay out my floor plan first, get all the rooms kind of laid out, and then on every level, I'll even generate them blank sometimes, because you know how you can change the AI configuration to generate without objects. So I'll just have it generate with all these things, or even without doors and windows, and I put all those things in manually. But then after I've generated them all and kind of got the floor plan laid out, once you start decorating, it's less likely to have things get deleted at that point. One of my least favorite things is to change a room's layout after I've already kind of gotten the whole floor plan figured out. Because, yeah, I hate deleting stuff. I'll pull everything out of a room to make sure it doesn't get deleted sometimes. Mondu, how was your week, bud? Do with this little putting graves, many as I can. I really do love this new grave thing and the fact that it's so many variants. Like, look how many different ones there are. Sometimes the head gets repeated here and there, but the headstone and like all the symbols and stuff end up being a lot of different instead of like a bunch of crosses. Much more denominations. I think some of y'all kind of were concerned that pretty much some of the only gravestones had crosses on it, which not necessarily were indicative of fantasy religions, per se. Looking good. Oh! Garbage day. I can hear the garbage truck out there puttering around, and it is loud AF. We have separate cans for recycling and garbage and like yard work, like trimmings and like grass and leaves and twigs and sticks all go in a different bin than, say, your regular, trash. So yeah, it's one of those things. Is it way easier for you to stack stairs now, my friend? Mission accomplished, then. That was definitely the dev team's intention, to allow you to kind of get back to a more familiar feeling while still having the old, the new stairs, while all still having the old stair kind of option. I think it's definitely a good fix, best of both worlds. Very low on sleep due to my nose getting clogged. Spent my birthday feeling. First off, happy birthday, belated birthday. Sorry that I, missed that. And I hope, other than you being sick, it was an okay birthday. Okay. Finish off this fence so I can get... Need one for the... Okay. So very confused. Oh, they're not set. Intersect. I think there was extra. Maybe not. No. Okay. Pretty close. Bummer. Yeah, what I'll have to do. These. This, bring them in closer, like slap that. That's my kind of my secret way to add more fence. Freestanding walls could be raised too, because they're not the same height as normal walls now. Freestanding walls and like all the platforms are no longer wall height, which makes it really hard for stairs to line up to them. Now you have the options for stairs to change. It's better, but before it was a bit of a pain. So how would you make them work with the modular object system? Just curious, like how you would suggest that working, Mondu. Yeah, by the way, Mondu, this suggestion was basically your suggestion. The way they fixed stairs was they basically made them pre-released when they're, the collisions are off, so they're no longer locked. Multi-layer is cool, huh, Scooby-Doo? Oh. I watched an insane amount of Scooby-Doo in my youth because I was a latchkey kid. I'd come home every day and kind of just make myself a snack and watch like a ton of cartoons and my brother and sister until my mom were continuing. You know, not a cool. Scooby-Doo is goated, isn't it? Honestly, totally. Scooby-Doo movie, remember that? And I'm like, the live action is like what I'm talking about. That was just so cool for it to breach into the real world. I also love that they made like a ton of Scooby-Doo movies, like of the cartoons. We definitely watched Scooby-Doo when my kid was growing up, so there was like, it's like a multi-generational thing, because my parents watched it, I watched it. Anyway, running your campaign with Dungeon Alchemist, are you making maps with Dungeon Alchemist for your campaign, or are you running like your campaign exclusively inside of Dungeon Alchemist? Give me the deets, Scooby. Would you do it for a Scooby snack? I remember growing up, my kid he wanted to watch zombie stuff, right? Because like Walking Dead was really big. The wife and I watched it. We wouldn't allow him to watch it because he was too young. He's now 19. This was years ago. But we, Scooby-Doo had a movie come out called Scooby-Doo Zombie Island. And, oh, he watched the heck out of that. I think our disc got so scratched from him messing with it. Mystery Inc. is excellent. Got a series of maps. Like a video game? Nice. That's cool. How long you been running your campaign for, Scooby? By the way, for those wondering, I'm talking to a chatter over in TikTok named Scooby-Doo. I'm not like having a hallucination right now. Just randomly. 2 years? Fantastic, my friend. That's quite a long time. What level are your players? Okay, so I think we finished this fence all the way down. It's all lined up. Looks good. Now I can finally get rid of this guide. Look at that. Graves for days. I'm proud of that. I don't even want to know how many graves that is. Oh my gosh. Yesterday on TikTok, I saw this video and it made me laugh so hard. This guy is like essentially insisting to ChatGPT over and over again to count to 1 million. And it keeps like denying his request and telling him that's an unreasonable amount of, usage of time and blah, 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 blah. And he just keeps telling it over and over again, count to 1 million. It's kind of unhinged, but also really funny. Like, horizontal TV, nice. So you do like a TV tabletop? I bet you that's cool. TV tabletops are something I've always wanted to do. It's just not economical for my family to play with a local group because my wife is immunocompromised, and so like just to have a game night, we put her at risk of getting sick, and when she gets sick, she's sick for a long time or has to be hospitalized. So it's like kind of something we don't really want to do on the regular. Hospital bills expensive. Nino like Big Bill. TV tabletops are dope, though. So are projector tabletops. Do we have any viewers that run with a projector tabletop? So I'm assuming you have like an acrylic on top of your TV, and then you put like the tokens on top of it, or maybe you even do some digital tokens. Oh, it's no worries. Like, you know, it's our adapting that we have to do now, and as things have kind of just changed forever. But that's life, you know? Nice. You know, 3D printed minis are cool. I've got a few 3D printers myself, and by that I mean three 3D printers. I might have a small problem, but that's another issue altogether. I enjoy 3D printing a lot. Oh. So I've got my first printer was a FlashForge Creator 2. It's a FDM multi extruder printer, so I could do 2-color prints for like 10 years now. I've been able to do it for years and years. And then my second printer is a TiVo Tornado, which is like a Creality clone. It was given to me for free by TiVo, because they were sponsoring my stream at the time. I used to stream 3D printing almost exclusively. Well, while I was gaming, I had a 3D print going, and we talked 3D printing during the stream. And let's see here. So yeah, that was kind of a gift, and I would run it on the stream for a long time. Still works great. Love that printer. And then I have what is my resin? Remember the name of it. It's a Proton, Anycubic Proton. So I've got, you know, several printers. I've also got a laser etcher, cutter, and a vinyl plotter. And I'm like the only friend in my friend group who has a scanner and a regular paper printer. So anytime my friends need something, they're like to print, they'll always be like, can I come print something? I'm like, well, do you want to 3D print something or paper print something? Let's talk. Which one is it? Oh, that's funny. Too funny, Scooby. I feel like it's a lost art to be able to use like a paper printer nowadays. Mainly because the technology is like so frustrating to get to work correct half the time. Okay, let's start decorating these plots. I'm gonna add some foliage and some lighting next, and then we'll put decorations on like the graves. That'll make this place feel a lot more like it's got a, you know, a lot more detail, if you will. Which lamp do I want to use? Let's start with that. 85 by 82. It's quite large. Let's just say I totally overdid it with this map. Don't like that. Try that one. Put it over this. Post. I mean, this could be implemented in a number of ways, but I'm honestly, as the community manager, I'm just making this for fun to showcase how to do different things and answer questions in real time. These streams are AMA format, which means you can ask me questions related to Dungeon Alchemist and ask me anything, and I'll do my best to, provide you assistance in real time. So think of it as like a class or a course, or where a support line, a live support line. I honestly think it's kind of a new concept, because like a live video support line where you can tune in and get your questions answered any time of the day, like any time during the stream, is pretty cool. But anyway, this map, at the end of the day, will be released on our Steam Workshop when it's done, so our community can use it, take advantage of it, enjoy it. You know what I mean? But yeah, this map alone could easily run like, several levels if you used it extensively and added a bunch of intrigue and stuff to it. Like maybe your players come here first to maybe talk to someone at the church or to come to attend a funeral, and then they are hired on to track down some suspicious activity that's on the site, things like that. Will do, Scooby. How long have you been using Dungeon Alchemist now? That whole 2 years you've been running your campaign, or part of it? Mac likes this post. Almost a year with DA? Well, thank you for the continued support. We appreciate it. As a small, like, indie company, like, it really means the world to us when we have our community's continued and engaging support. Especially after this last year or so, when our last update took quite a while. We know a lot of people were kind of getting to their wits' end with us. So thank you, everyone, for riding through the, riding with us until we got it done. Dungeon Alchemist AI implementation is not only really straightforward and simple for the average user to use, it's also ethical AI. It's one of the few, companies on the market that can claim that. Dungeon Alchemist AI was developed entirely in-house by our own team of devs, and all of the artwork and maps and everything it uses is all created in-house. So every map it's trained on is created in-house. Every asset that is generated is created in-house. So essentially, from top to bottom, at no point is our AI, scraping public data or art to generate maps. That's not how it works. And in fact, it's a last-gen AI, more like a procedural generation AI than it is a generative AI. So essentially, you get something, its entire purpose and focus is generating environments and rooms that have some sort of semblance of sense to them, and it does really well at it. And because we developed everything in-house and at no point use any community maps or assets to train or generate environments with the AI, we feel it's a very ethical approach as well. Scooby, thank you for the follow. Can't believe it. I'm starstruck. I was followed by Scooby-Doo. Yeah, I mean, AI is definitely like a buzzword at the moment, and a lot of companies are throwing a lot of money into it. And to be honest with you, some of them are really irritating me. Like, AI's in so many places it doesn't need to be. I feel like my Google search is completely ruined now because of AI. And like, just anyway, I'm very happy to be working for a company that takes an ethical approach, because AI has been around for years and years, and it's part of our everyday lives. It's part of banking, it's part of traffic, it's part of a lot of different things like healthcare and stuff like that. But we just don't realize it because it's kind of not something we interact with all the time. And I think that now that it's been thrust into the forefront of our minds daily, it's kind of frustrating. Yeah, I usually go like 3 or 4 pages deep now on Google just to see if the answer I'm looking for is there, because the front 2 pages are like all ads and AI suggestions. And the AI suggestion, you could refresh and it's a different suggestion every time. It could be one time it'll say yes, and next time it'll say no. So I'm like, wow, Google, thanks. I'm Charles Xavier of DA. Well, thanks. I'm assuming you say that because I am so incredibly bald. So bald. But also, you know, Professor Mac. Professor Mac Xavier. Yeah, we're multi-streaming right now on 6 different platforms, Scooby. So we're live on TikTok, obviously, Twitch, YouTube. We're streaming both portrait and landscape. We're on Twitter and Facebook, and then also Steam right now. 2 streams a week. We offer multi-streams, and then one of our streams per week is hosted exclusively on our Discord because they cannot participate in the multi-stream. So every Wednesday we host a stream on our Discord called Office Hours, and then Mondays and Saturdays every week we host streams on a multi-stream across all our major, streaming and social media platforms. Yeah, so our Discord link. Okay, I can't share links in TikTok chat, but there's a link on our profile that goes to our website, dungeonalchemist.com. And on our website is links for our social media, Discord, all of that. Steam, etc. All of it. That's the only link I can share on TikTok. They're really, really stingy about it on the streams, sadly. No worries. I appreciate you checking us out on all the social media. That is, my forte. That's my job. So I run that scene. So if you end up seeing a post, 9 times out of 10, it's usually me that posted it or, answered and replied to things. So do y'all kind of see how I'm kind of setting this up with an order of operations where it's kind of an assembly line? Do one thing and then do another. Obviously, I was doing graves and paths and fence in every area as I went because I wanted it to kind of be uniform the whole way down. Now, that being said, now that I've got all the graves done, I'm going to add lighting, and then I'm going to add, plant life, and then I'm going to add like details. Little things on the graves like flowers or some coins or stuff like that. What, the minus AI search? Yeah, I do that. It's still frustrating though. You still will get stuff mixed in because unless it was explicitly labeled as AI, like the image could still be AI generated from some other service and then it was scraped, through Google. It will only remove any references where it says AI in the term or like the web page that you're looking for. Does that make sense? So while that works, it's not a perfect like catch-all. I actually really like this. Hey, thank you so much, Scooby, for all the support. We appreciate it. So, Fun with Objects Part 1 was our last update. It released on July 10th, so just a little over a month ago. Month and a half ago, I could say today. And our next plan is Fun with Objects Part 2. So there was a bunch of features we planned to release in the Fun with Objects update that we haven't gotten a chance to do yet. That were kind of delayed just a little bit because we didn't want to delay the whole update while everyone was chomping at the bit for multi-level and roofing. So we only delayed it just a little bit, right? And then released multi-level and roofing. And then we basically, by the end of the year, we hope to release an update that will finalize all of the things we hoped to realize with the Fun with Objects update as a whole. And that should include things like rotating objects on any axes, grouping objects and copying and pasting them or moving them as a group, stuff like that should be on the horizon relatively soon. Change out some for some small building crypts. In this area, I didn't want to because these graves are all kind of the certain like style and also certain like lifestyle. Like these people had a certain amount of money to afford these graves. These ones over here are more like pauper graves. There's different styles and aesthetics through the grave sites. Over here, we've got some mausoleums and crypts. Over here, we have a fancier grave section. This is more like the royals, you know, private grave site here where it's fenced off and there's some raised graves, some mausoleums, some, you know what I mean? Yeah, I honestly feel like a lot of people are kind of on edge about AI in general, but both now investors are starting to be too. So I think it might be nearing a bubble burst where, you know, unless you got in on the ground floor and were successful, you're not going to be able to really take advantage of it. And even then, it's kind of getting to like diminishing returns, I've noticed. I don't know, people are getting irritated with it, and not just that, it's like not necessarily always helpful or useful. If that makes sense. Yeah, essentially quality of life with objects. But another feature that should be launching with that is the decal tool, which will allow you to paint images on top of objects. You can import custom images, so PNGs, to the decal tool, and then use them as like a paint on top of an object or a ground. This will be a great way to add like piles of leaves, scratch marks, cracks, snow patches, footprints, pavers, stuff like that. But Londell, yeah, this map is quite massive, and I plan to. This is a massive ancient cemetery, so there's going to be graves of all types going through it, right? 85 by 82, by the way. So essentially, over time, you would think graves kind of change in style too. Some people may have more money, so they have room for a bigger plot and a better grave. Others barely have any, so they had to dig them. You know, their family may have dug them, or they used whatever they had on hand to make a grave. You know, to represent or memorize, you know, to show memory to them. Or whatever. But as you can see, a lot of these are really basic with like wooden stuff or basic stone plinths, like nothing serious. Some are even vertical graves. Others are these columbariums where it's like just a simple item. Oh shoot, I didn't finish filling these. Got a couple rows there. I'll get on that next when we come back over here. I do like to I try to feel like I try to make a space where people feel welcome. But not only that, like, Like it's a space, you know, you want to come hang out, even if you're not necessarily needing advice at the moment, because there's a bunch of like-minded GMs here, and we all are like playing similar games or going through similar things. And there's not a whole lot of spaces left where you can just go hang out and vibe. That's kind of my point, is I want to provide our community with a space to get support, hang out with like-minded map makers, GMs, and you know, share their adventures with their players, with the community, and you know, bounce ideas off of each other, and you know, get support for your map making, and you know, general place to be friends and vibe. Do I have a shed or hut for the gravedigger, bro? Oh man, I have got a whole property for the caretaker. The caretaker lives in this cottage, this modest cottage at the end of the cemetery, where he maintains, you know, a nice little garden and a hedge line and his little private greenhouse with all his you know, plants from faraway lands and other realms. And then back here is his shed full of tools and some hay and composting and some manure. What is that under the manure, though? A hatch, mysteriously hidden under the manure. But anyway, the caretaker, everyone insisted he was nefarious, so I ended up making that part of it. Here's a little area where there's like, you know, headstones and dirt and wagons and potted plant stuff. He's a bit of a green thumb. But the thing is he manages this massive cemetery, so it makes sense for him to live on site. And he's been doing it for years, so he has like a really nice property where, you know, when he's not working on graves, he's managing his own life and enjoying it, right? His little piece of paradise, despite being around death all the time, he's managed to put a piece of, you know, a lot of life into the graveyard. But yeah, they manage all the, you know, the plants and hedges for this entire place. So I'd imagine they're a bit of a green thumb. I wouldn't necessarily call him the grave digger. He's more like the caretaker for the entire property. He does help dig graves, and he, you know, hires out for grave digging. Whatnot. He probably has some, you know, gophers that do a lot of the grave digging for him and move dirt around. But he's out here making sure the plants are alive and making sure everything looks clean. And anyway. Yeah, yep, I'm way ahead of you, but I've been working on this map for a while, so as you can see, it's got, you know, some love in it. Over here, we've got another secret inside of this mausoleum. There's another hatch hidden under the sarcophagus that if you look carefully, you can see it. So I was going to make an accompanying map where it had an underground, and this map's taken me so long to make, we released the update in that time. Now we have multi-level where you can build underground, build above ground. I actually built this tower by hand using nothing but objects stacked on each other because we didn't offer multi-level at the time. Crazy, or is this stone changed? Oh, it's the shadow. This garden, building it all by hand. See, that's the thing. I prefer to really do everything by hand. So my maps take a bit longer, but I also know tons of tricks to really do pretty much anything in Dungeon Alchemist. Heck, I'm really not even good at using the AI to generate rooms anymore. I mostly just build everything by hand. That's my preference, you know what I mean? But I love that Dungeon Alchemist offers the best of both worlds. I do wish it wasn't a legacy map, but honestly, after this is done, I'm probably going to move on to something smaller and not do the underground for this, or if I do come back and make it again, it'll be something different, like a smaller graveyard with an underground. You know what's crazy too, Chim? Nowadays, it's almost impossible to get like someone from the store on the phone. Like, unless it's like a small shop that they still answer their phone themselves. Most places either have an answering service or it's like all digital. So you call Best Buy, it takes forever to get someone on the phone. And then by the time you get someone on the phone, they usually don't even work there. They're some answering service somewhere, you know, whatever. So they can't speak to whether or not an item is for sure in stock. Oh, it says there's one, but that one could be an open box or in the return bin or missing because it's stolen. Can I get someone to put eyes on it and confirm it and set it aside for me? You know, or, you know, any number of things. It just frustrates me how, like, essentially you call a place and you cannot talk to an employee anymore. They don't want you wasting their employees' time answering questions if you're not in the store, because that means you're not in there buying something right now. But I mean, if I get my question answered, I'm gonna come in there and buy something. So, see where I'm a little irritated with that. Means I have to do much more research before I buy. They're doing the old Amazon method. Oh man, the catacombs for this would be insane. What I could do is use this map as a trace and then just make an underground that has access points that link up to it so it could be an accompanying map. Does that make sense? I think that would probably be the best route. Usually when you call a place, I'll just mash 0 because that tends to get to a person. That or asking for manager sometimes does, but not always anymore. Man, that's like the millennial hill I'll die on. I don't know if I sound like a boomer or something for it, but I do miss like the age of customer service, and that's part of the reason I run these streams the way I do, and I insist we help our community the way I do. Because like it's a lost art. Like companies would just rather ignore you than actually provide you assistance nowadays. Like they got your money, what else do they need from you anymore, right? Oh man, one thing I would love to see in Dungeon Alchemist in the future is the ability to lock an object. So Scooby, if I could get something added to Dungeon Alchemist, it would be the ability to lock an object. Meaning to lock the object so no matter what, it can't be accidentally moved or deleted. So like a little lock symbol on this, so it can't be resized on accident or deleted or moved or something of that nature without you unlocking it again. I also would love the ability to click on any object that has snow on it, like a tree or a house, and then it click on a UI that, like a snowflake, for instance, something like that, and then it removes the snow from that object. So we currently have objects like these ice flow things that you can put objects on top of, and when they're on top, the snow doesn't affect them. So there's clearly like a mechanic to make that work within Dungeon Alchemist. Like we can remove snow from objects at will, but I'm just wondering if there could be a way. So it's like, hey, you remove it on a house where maybe it's like warm inside, so they have like it's melted or whatever, you know? Wafa, go ahead, man. What is your question? Finding places I need to add lamps. Okay. Like the major exterior points. resources. Hey, Highland Lass. Wafa, you are, but you have to purchase it as a certain way on the Hero Forge website. As a 3D digital token, not a 3D printable. So if you download it, if you bought it as a 3D file, one that you can download in 3D print, it cannot be like directly linked to DA. You can still import it through the asset importer under the Steam Workshop tab. But here, let me find the Hero Forge video. I know I have one. Your community manager. The latest update for Dungeon Alchemist has added the ability to use linking Hero Forge. So essentially, you're going to want to link your Hero Forge account to your Dungeon Alchemist, which you can find a key. Locate your access key, then copy in your personal info on your account. You would then copy the key and put it into Dungeon Alchemist under the Hero Forge section in the token menu. There are already some tokens provided. These are included for free. So if your friend makes a token but they don't purchase it, right? Only one account can be linked to your Dungeon Alchemist at a time, so you want to purchase all the tokens on one account. So if your friend makes a token with Hero Forge, which is free, and then they send you the link for it, then you can open it on your account and make edits and then purchase it and then import it to DA. So just make sure you only purchase them from one account. Unfortunately, there's no way to link multiples at this time. That's due to licensing with Hero Forge. Half Pounder, you asking about this map here? Or like Dungeon Alchemist as a product? Indeed. It's like one of my favorite phrases because it's from one of my favorite shows uses it over and over again. The Stargate. Stargate SG1 is my joint. Anyway, moving on from that, Half Pound. We basically this map I've been building it by hand, a little bit at a time for about a half hour, an hour each week, every Monday. It has been a massive undertaking that I, kind of overestimated my ability and underestimated how long it would take. Yep, Teal'c is my favorite. Teal, C. Indeed. Y'all want some Stargate fun? Actually, I built this the other day with my missus. Saw it online, I had to get it. I've been trying to do more like crafts. Things that I want to do more. Dioramas and Lego, but also I've been working in my garage doing carpentry and stuff, but this is something I did the other day with the wife when it was too hot to go out. My Choppa eye. Greytac is awesome. Greytac is dope. So this is the Stargate from the SGC. A Malp here. And then also a, sorry, what do they call these? One of their generators for Naquita generator. Little thing there in the front by my thumb. Anyway, pretty cool. Oh, that's cool, Guafa. Christopher Judge is actually pretty dope Actor, I mean, he's had an interesting career. Did you all know he's Kratos? Octo, thank you, thank you. Yeah, that's a Stargate. Martoof is also an amazing. First off, the Tok'ra are so intriguing to me in Stargate. Don't get me started. I could talk about Stargate forever. But yeah, Martoof is an interesting character for sure. I loved the one episode where all the different Stargate teams from different dimensions are coming through the gate, and one of the teams has Martoof on it, which I always wanted to see some Tok'ra on the SG-1 teams. Oh, that's awesome, Half Pound. That's cool. So is that near Vancouver, or isn't that what it is? There's a lot of people in this channel who like Stargate, mainly because I can't stop talking about it in between my map making. Trying to decide what to work on next. Let's add some trees and some shrubs and stuff. I could do a line of shrubs down this, which could be neat. Like hedges. Some buxus. I also, you get irritated with the Tok'ra, and it's like every race that the humans run into, they're like, yeah, you're too young, you're too arrogant, you can't get any technology, we won't share intel with you. Feel bad for the humans because they're just doing their best to try and survive. But at the same time, yeah, they are kind of arrogant in their own right, and they think they just deserve access to all this stuff. Flowers and personal items will be something I do last. I usually do little personal effects and details like that at the very end. We could do this low topiary like that. And then just kind of keep them in line all the way down. True. But the Tok'ra were, doing the whole long con stealth game using secrecy and, and they also couldn't regenerate. They didn't have the numbers humans did. Essentially, they had a limited amount of symbiotes, and that was it. So the Tok'ra, they did the best they could, I feel like. But yes, I agree. The humans got a lot done in a short amount of time. I own the DVD sets for, Stargate the movie, and then SG-1, all 10 seasons, and then Stargate Atlantis, all the seasons, Stargate Universe, all the seasons. And then I have them ripped, and they're on my media server. So pretty much any, TV in my house at any time can just load them up and watch them. We're in this house, we Jaffa Cree. We... Yeah, Universe is the one on the ship called Destiny. It's a little bit more dramatic. I feel like they were kind of going for the whole, I don't know, CW drama meets sci-fi. And the show didn't really pick up until, pretty much right before it got canceled. So by the time it started getting good, it pretty much was done. And it suffered from a few different things, like the writer's strike and some shifts and changes in Hollywood and also at MGM. I don't know if we'll ever get a show quite like Stargate ever again. First off, they only do 10 episode seasons now of anything. So, you got to build up a story in 10 episodes, and it's hard to get attached to different characters and interested in their backgrounds and storyline when, it's essentially just a rushed product every time. Farscape, Battlestar Galactica, Stargate SG-1, all those shows came out within a few years of each other, and absolute fire. A few of the Farscape actors were actors in Stargate in the later seasons. Ben Browder and Claudia Black from Farscape were also in Stargate later on, and I just absolutely love them. And then you also had characters from Firefly in Stargate later on. Morena Baccarin was the leader of the Ori, the Orosai. I like that little hedge. What do you guys think? That had like a nice vibe, or should it be a taller one? I kind of like that it's thin, simple. Okay, if you had to watch a Stargate episode for 24 hours on repeat, one single episode, which one would it be? How big is the DA team? About 10 people total. We're a very small indie team. There's 3 developers, myself on the community team, a handful of artists, and a couple administrative members. So we are a lean, mean indie machine. And we all work remotely too. I'm actually our only employee, well, based in the US. The rest are all mostly in Belgium. Yep, Jewel State also was at Atlantis. Yep. They brought a lot of talent from other shows, and, it really helped, I think, because people were fans of those characters and watched. Yeah, but yeah, Jewel State was great as the Doctor in, Stargate Atlantis. Oh, Supreme Commander Thor. Kinsey is, I hate him so much. Oh my goodness. And they do such a good job of making you hate him. Like, they did a great job of really bringing the bureaucracy in it all, because there would be so much red tape and paperwork behind the scenes of a place like, the SGC. People vying for power. Oh my gosh, yes. You definitely, the actor is great. Isn't he in Star Trek as well? He's like a commander or a captain or something in Stargate, or not Stargate, in Star Trek. I don't know what he does in Star Trek. He's in DS9? Okay. Deep Space Nine. No, that's not Kinsey. That's Robert Picardo. No, that's Professor or Dr. That's Woolsey is his name. So Woolsey is yeah, he ends up running the Atlantis base for a while in the later seasons. Honestly, he has a good growth as a character. I appreciate character growth. That's another thing that I love about Stargate. Characters you hate in the beginning they grow as characters and become better, like McKay. Rodney McKay is so insufferable early on, and then later on he is like a caring, well-mannered human being who cares about others and will sacrifice himself. Oh, Woolsey immediately knew he was in over his head. He thought that just reading reports was all it took to run Atlantis. And he immediately started deferring to everyone's judgment, because he's like, man, I can't do this by following the rules. There's no way. Like, his first day, he was drinking some wine and they're like, are you okay? And he's like, I broke so many rules today. He's just stressed about it. I saw that message earlier. I said hello to them. Yeah, honestly, I'm sorry I let my Stargate fandom leak into the stream, because we're supposed to be here just talking about maps and tabletop gaming, but Stargate's just so good. I really have to just let everyone know about it. What kind of community manager would I be if I didn't inform you of fun sci-fi action? While also building a map. D&D big in Belgium? That's a good question. I know that one of my bosses plays Pathfinder. The other one casually plays D&D. I don't know if it's as big as Pathfinder is here. I don't know. From what I understand, though, that it seems to be tabletop gaming is pretty big everywhere. You know what I mean? Wafa, that's a good suggestion. I actually was working on the SGC for a while before we had multi-level available, and I just kind of kept hitting roadblocks. But now that we have multi-level, I want to take another crack at it. Okay. Got hedges on this side, and oh yeah, I got caught up here and forgot what I was doing. Played Captain Edward Jellicoe. Gotcha. I also think that what's her name? Weir. She also played a character in Star Trek. And Michael, the Wraith from Stargate Atlantis, also played a character in Star Trek. Thinking a big tree or a statue. That, or I could make an opening and put like a little bench in here. Could be neat. The second Dr. Weir, the one that was the primary Dr. Weir, not the one that only did like 2 episodes. The one that played Dr. Weir pretty much extensively. Exclusively, I mean. I really do feel bad for the first Dr. Weir actress. I guess she got a pretty bum rap because she was like, they were in between filming seasons and she was told she was going to come back for the next season, and she was on her vacation and she went to Burning Man, which she kept it like secret from them because I guess at that time it was really frowned upon for people to go there, especially in the acting industry or whatever, and they essentially just removed her. Did the stream die? Huh. Weird. Refresh. You'd like to see Fog of War? You know, one thing to consider though with Dungeon Alchemist is it is not necessarily a virtual tabletop. It's a map making tool and an immersion utility. So things like Fog of War aren't necessarily high on our priority list at the moment. And that's not to say it will never happen, but it's not necessarily anything we promised either in our Kickstarter. So if we do get around to adding it, it'll likely be after we leave early access. But what I think will end up happening is our devs will likely release, you know, some sort of I think they'll end up releasing some sort of complementary product that would allow you to utilize Dungeon Alchemist to the fullest. So maybe a standalone Dungeon Alchemist VTT that, you know, our maps export directly to and get the most utilization out of. Now that's just speculation at the moment. After we've delivered on all of our stretch goals, then we'll leave early access. So essentially, we have 4.5 stretch goals left from our Kickstarter. Those were our promised feature packs, updates, so to speak, that you can follow along on our roadmap on our Upvote website. I would guess we're anywhere from, like 1.5 to like 3 years till we leave early access at this point. Every update takes 6 to 8 months. There's 4.5 major updates left. Just kind of ballparking it. That's, anywhere from 2 to 2.5, maybe up to 3 years if things get drawn out a little bit. That being said, that's subject to change. Who knows? I'm going to do another set of benches, but I think I'm going to do these. Got a lot done today. Look at that. Finished off the graves in this area. Added all the lights. Now we're going to start doing the finish work. Plants, hedges, benches, and then details on the graves. Flowers, coins, potted plants, all sorts of little things. Mementos. Tricks and traps, water worlds, high seas, and instant dungeons are the 4 major updates that remain after we finish and release, Fun with Objects Part 2. I don't know if those are in any particular order, so whatever order I just said isn't necessarily indicative of their release, but that will just, those will be released at some point. Instant dungeons means one-click dungeons. So I'd imagine after we've, delivered on all our stretch goals and have tons of objects and assets and multi-level all figured out and roofing and all that stuff, you'll be able to, kind of configure a dungeon with a bunch of the drop downs in the map generation room, right? Tell it all the different things you want, and then it'll generate an instant dungeon. We have an update called High Seas, which will include what we call the shipyard or a ship builder. So you'll be able to build extravagant, intricate, personalized ships. I'm hoping that will expand into not just water ships, but airships and astral ships as well. So maybe you can make ships of all types and then, share them on the workshop or put them in your maps, etc. Aside from that, though, we do have the Water Worlds update, which will feature water-based mechanics, i.e. putting water at different heights, things like waterfalls, or the ability to, add effects and whatnot to water. So maybe like whirlpools or currents and waves and the like. Additionally, there likely would be things like weather included with that, like rain or fog. I'd imagine all that would probably be included as well. Yeah. So quite a bit on the horizon for the Dungeon Alchemist team and community. Just, it's a lot of work. Our dev team now though is pretty much all back in the office, so they will be busting out fixes and patches for reported bugs for the last month, you know, after this release. And then after they've, kind of fine-tuned where Fun with Objects is at, then they'll start working on the new add-ons, quality of life improvements, features, etc. for Fun with Objects Part 2. Out of all the updates remaining, everyone, what's the one you're most excited for? Is it Water Worlds, High Seas, Tricks and Traps, or Fun with Objects Part 2, or Instant Dungeons? There's a map called Pirates Cove. Let's take a look at it, and I'll tell you how. I can pretty much explain how any map was made in Dungeon Alchemist. I'm really good at reverse engineering these bad boys. If it's the one I'm thinking, I know exactly how it was. Huh. Is it any of the ones you're seeing here? Did you see it anywhere there? Secret Pirates Cove on the left. This one here, the Secret Pirate Cave, you mean? This one here? Okay. Yeah, this one's an interesting one for sure. Let's open it and I'll tell you what I can. By the way, everyone, we're going to be wrapping up the stream here pretty soon. So if you have any last minute questions, concerns, feedback, suggestions that you'd like me to answer or pass on to the dev team, please let me know here in the next couple minutes so we can get them addressed. I can't remember if I saved, but luckily my autosave is on, so hopefully I didn't lose too much work. Ooh. That just popped randomly. A swamp pirate encounter, nice. I actually made a kind of a bayou swamp tavern map that I shared on the workshop some time ago. You might want to take a look at it. It kind of was designed around pirates, particularly, because I know that pirates love to hide in where like the kind of Everglades and all the like bayou type plant life is, because the mangroves, because they could bring their ships in and hide them from, you know, the various countries trying to hunt them down, and then they could set up traps and whatnot. Let's see here. I'll tell you the name of the map before we wrap up. So let's see what we've got here. So this map, first off, let's check out the biome. You can open up this tab here, the terrain tab, and go to change biome. Interesting. They're in the skeletal plains biome. A pick. Wouldn't have guessed that. I would have thought they were in a cave biome. So it looks like they made all of this caving here. Right? Almost all of it is done by hand using rocks. Some of it is the terrain brushes, but for the most part, I'd say it's all rocks. Anani, I'm not sure if it's, being worked on right this moment or not. I just know it's been reported a lot, and the devs will likely research it when they get to it. There's a few different bugs that are a little bit higher priority at the moment for them. But yeah, if you look here, these are all just rocks. So check this out. This person disabled collisions, and they went into the nature menu, into the rock menu, and they just found rocks that they liked and started making the entire map out of rocks. Pretty much all of this, save a handful bits of like the ground here, which is using this terrain paint. You can tell because it's the same. Changes. If I go in with this one, blood, that one there is just that kind of scarred rock. Personally, I probably would have just done this in the cave biome, because then the cave biome, you can carve everything out in the middle and then add in all the rocks for extra rocky detail. But essentially, all of these were placed pretty much one at a time. Kind of resized, rescaled, placed in at different angles. No, it's no problem, Anani. Sorry, I wish I knew the answer, my friend. I just don't know. They're likely working on it. The person who will fix it would be most likely Quentin, and Quentin literally just got back into the office today. So I'm assuming it's on his to-do list. But yeah, pretty much all of these objects, all of these rocks, these were placed by hand. They just found different rocks and put them up, and they're like, oh, this looks good. A lot of by hand work to make this go effectively. These little areas up here, they put in some rooms. So if you like click this, here, select this. Clearly this is a dining room from a mansion, but then they went through and just kind of deleted it and put different floor types. These are all different floor paints. Some are the broken wood, some stone, some like dirt. And then they placed a lot of objects by hand. So it made it look more just kind of worn down and detritus. The room it was generated as really has no like dictation over it because they filled it in with whatever they want. That being said, a work like this is not something you learn how to do, overnight. It's a practiced art. You kind of get better and better at map making over time to the point you could do something like this. You tried to edit it to fit it in. I just messed it up. What do you mean you edited it to fit it in? Scooby. Edit what? I'll try and help you out if I can. The resealed pipes thing, though, I will talk to the devs about and see if I can find anything out about it. Let me show you my swampy one here in a minute. I just wanted to see how much of my map I had saved. I like backed out. Oh, I got the benches in, so we got all the save. We're good. Pretty much all the work. Save over the other ancient cemetery to replace it. And then we're good. Now let's open up my swamp map. You sure I shared it? Yeah, the Murky Mug is what it's called. So it's a tavern in a bayou. in a mangrove bayou, jungle type bayou thing. So to get this feel, you see down here, there's like a docking area for them to pull up on their boats. Go hang out at the Murky Mug. But there's all these little channels in the jungle, swamp, or whatever it is. So the biome I used for this is jungle, and then I did floodplains, right, as the elevation. So it'd have like lots of flooded area. And then I went through and I used this terrain brush with the like kind of vines underwater to give it more like a kind of underwater kind of swamp vegetation feel. You know how there's always like plant life and all sorts of stuff under the water that you can see. And then I just kind of went through and added some lily pads and other stuff to make it feel how I wanted. And then the lighting for the map is important. I use the lighting filter here to make it kind of a green feel. Kind of turned it down to a darker, so it's more night and kind of, you know, you just don't have a lot of light in a swamp usually. And then, yeah, the lighting inside, warm and inviting. Outside, you definitely feel like an alien environment. I think I made this map in 30 minutes. It was a challenge on a TikTok stream when I was trying to get our TikTok to work. So like you had to stream a certain amount of time and days and whatever back in the day to get your TikTok account linked through Streamlabs so I can multi-stream. So in those, and they like short streams on TikTok, and I like doing long streams. So TikTok's like, do a 30-minute stream. I was like, what could I do in 30 minutes? And I was just doing like 30-minute map challenges. Someone would make a suggestion. They're like, I think someone just typed in chat, I want a tavern in a swamp, and then I built this in 30 minutes. Anyway, all right, everyone, thank you for tuning in. We're going to wrap it up. Had a lot of fun with today's stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. For watching. Those that were actively chatting and hanging out, I appreciate your participation. Those that were lurking today, thank you for being here and supporting the stream. Showing your support and just being here really does mean a lot to me as the community manager, that we have people participating in our community initiatives. Remember, we host 3 streams per week, every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Saturday. Monday and Saturday are multi-streams hosted on Twitch, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Steam. Our Wednesday stream is Discord exclusive, so if you're not a member of our Discord, it's kind of hard to find that stream, but it's at every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and 5 p.m. UTC. Runs for about 2 hours. We hang out and show maps and assets that are shared on the Steam Workshop by our community, kind of teach you all how they made those maps. And provide real-time AMA support. Plus, it's just a fun place to chill and vibe. You can share your ideas for encounters or maps or homebrew stat blocks. And because it's a group of like-minded GMs, DMs, you get a lot of insightful feedback and help. Great if you're a new GM. Great if you are a long-time GM. Great place to tune in and just kind of generally vibe. Anyway, thank you for being here, everyone. Like I said, our next stream is Wednesday. The following stream after that is Saturday. That's the Dam stream, the showcase of maps and assets from the Steam Workshop and our Discord. But it's a multi-stream across TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Steam. That one's at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UTC. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Dungeon Alchemist is a map-making tool available on Steam. You can download our demo and try Dungeon Alchemist before you buy. That way you can see if it's something you're actually interested in and if it runs well on your computer, sort of like a test drive. That way you're not investing time and money into something that may not run well for you or work, to your specifications. Remember, the demo is a small slice of the overall pie. It's only one of our, 12 biomes, one room type out of dozens, and only a handful of objects out of thousands. Dungeon Alchemist is a very expansive tool that has Steam Workshop integration, allowing you to share maps or download one of the over 12,300, almost 12,400 maps shared by our community, and almost 10,000, is it over 10,000 assets now, shared by our community. So some of these even go into other aesthetics like modern, sci-fi, cyberpunk, Fallout, etc. I've seen people make very, very detailed, beautiful maps in those aesthetics now, thanks to the shared assets on the Steam Workshop, or the ability to import assets yourself through the asset importer. Remember, these features are only available in the full version of Dungeon Alchemist, though, so you must own a copy if you want to take advantage of that. We will be running a short Dungeon Alchemist themed ad, and then we will be wrapping up the stream. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you next time. I give a damn. Back out. Bye. Moment. Mute the music. Over to the ad.
But can it handle curves?
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 Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map-making application for role-playing games, now comes with both round and diagonal walls. Create amazing professional maps for your players in seconds. Get it now on the Steam store.
All right, everyone. Thanks again for watching. Remember, today's hotfix released the stairs, freed the stairs. Your stairs now work as expected and intended. Meaning if you disable collisions in the object menu, you can now resize and raise and lower stairs without impunity. Remember, once you do that, they won't act like the new multi-level stairs where they dynamically cut holes. So keep that in mind. Thank you again for being here. We'll see you all later. Back out. Bye.